Hello guys, I'm Unblissdata, and welcome to another review. This time we have Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 15. One more episode to go after this. Come on, where has the time gone? The time has flown out the window. I remember watching Season 2 of Breaking Bad on TV, thinking, man, this show is great, and here I am now, Season 5, the last episode is next week. It's just crazy when I think about it, but this episode was kind of a break from the craziness we've seen the last couple episodes. This kind of ties everything together, gives everyone a break, and next week is the finale, and it's going to be crazy. I don't know what's going to happen, but you can expect that someone's going to die. But before I get right into this episode to give you my thoughts and a review on it, I want to let you guys know it will contain spoilers, so if you do not want to know what happens, watch the episode and come back. So right off the bat, we see Saul's disappear guy that makes people disappear, and he never mentions his name, so I'm just gonna refer to him as the disappear guy. But it's this guy, and he's in the van, and he's bringing someone to a vacuum shop, and underneath the vacuum shop, like underground, is where he conducts his business, and he keeps the people that he's gonna make disappear until he can like actually bring them somewhere. And so he opens the van, and we're expecting Walt to jump out, but it's Saul. So Saul comes out of the van with luggage, and he's going to take him to Nebraska. So Saul has to stay at the vacuum store for a while until he can get things situated, and he goes downstairs, and he has a roommate, and it's Walt. So now we see Marie and the officers that were at Walt's house, and they're bringing her back to her house in a car, and they see that her house is broken into, and they go in, and everything's destroyed, and we see the tape that Hank was recording Jesse with was gone, and Jack has it now, and we go to a little scene with Jack, and Jack and his crew with Todd are all watching it, and they get to the part where Jesse's basically ratting out Todd, so obviously that makes them angry, so now they kind of dislike Jesse even more. So man, that's just piling things up, and of course we don't want Jesse to die, but it's looking really bad for him right now, and he's like in the little prison thing. So Jesse's still underground in like this cage thing that's like half underground, and the top is just like bars basically. And he has a paperclip on the photo of Brock and Andrea, and he takes the paperclip and he starts picking the locks on his cuff, which is really smart. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I would never be able to do that, but he does it. And we go back to another scene. This episode really jumps a lot. We go back to the vacuum shop, and Saul and Walt are talking, and Walt asks Saul to write down a bunch of names of hitmen because he wants to hit Jack and his men. And Saul's like, okay, well, wait up. What about Skylar? You left Skylar for dead, basically. You know, the feds have frozen all her bank accounts. She can't do nothing. And they're just going to be like, you know, security on her 24/7. She won't be able to do anything. And she's going to be the one to blame until the court sentence comes out in about a year. So you basically, like, they're dead in the water for like a year, which is, you know, really putting them at a disadvantage, and Walt obviously feels bad about this. But Walt on the phone, when he was talking to Skylar, made it seem like everything was his fault, just so the blame would be put on him. But of course, not all the blame is going to go directly to him. There's still going to be suspicion for Skylar and the rest of his family. So then Walt basically says to Saul, he goes, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to help him until I get my money back and it goes to my children. I'm not going to be done, and only then will I be done. And Saul basically says, you know what? Why don't you just face the music and just give up? But no, he insists. He's like, I'm only done, and he starts coughing. Obviously, his cancer's coming back, and he can't even finish his sentence. And it just comes out, I'm done. And you know, that was just a great little thing right there. Just that scene was just amazing, and it's true. He is done. His cancer's coming back. There's nothing he can do about it, really. So he's dead in the water, just like the rest of his family. So now we go to Skylar. Skylar's like in a meeting with a bunch of police officers and feds, and she's like completely zoned out, not even listening. And she just says, you know, I can't give you Walt. I don't know where he is. And basically, the police are just watching her house constantly. She's on her couch, just sitting casually, and she looks out the window. There's cars outside, just watching every move she does. And so Skylar goes to see Holly because she starts crying. She goes in the room, and there's a bunch of masked men, and it's Todd and all his men. You can't really tell because he has masks on, but by his voice, you can tell it's Todd. And he says, okay, you know the lady that came to the car wash with the black hair and the glasses? You won't say anything to them about the cops, will you? And he's like, you know, right in distance of Holly. And of course, Skylar says, no, I'm not going to say anything. So, really, Todd's just trying to protect Lydia. And apparently has a thing for Lydia, too, so whatever. Even though she seems really older than him, but whatever. But, yeah, just threats for Skylar and Holly just right there from Todd and his gang. And Todd's becoming really scary, in my opinion. I mean, he's almost like the drug lord now, even though he's not really. But it's just ridiculous how when he was first introduced, I didn't think anything of him, and now he's just like one of the main characters. It's just, it's just crazy how that happened. So he's just trying to protect Lydia there, and he says like no cops, and Skylar's like, yeah, don't worry, blah blah blah. But it was terrifying. I mean, imagine just going into a room, bunch of masked men with like threatening you. That's as scary as TV gets, I'm telling you. So then Todd meets with Lydia, and she's saying, I have to make sure Skylar doesn't say anything, blah blah blah. And Todd brings up that he cooked a 92% purity batch of meth, but of course with Pinkman. But obviously he doesn't really say, oh, Pinkman cooked it, I didn't really do anything. No, he just says 92%. So she's impressed with that, but whatever. So now we go back to Saul's disappear guy, and he moved Walt in a truck barrel. Like, it's like a transport truck, the attachment on the back that carries like liquid, usually gas. It was empty and Walt's in it, so that's how he transported them. And he says, welcome to New Hampshire, and that's where he brought Walt. And Walt is basically in the middle of nowhere in a bunch of forest, and he has like this log cabin. No TV, no internet, nothing, no news. He can't do anything basically. So he's like, you keep out of sight, and I'll come once a month for a supply drop. So Walt, right when the guy leaves, and Walt has his barrel of money, by the way, because obviously he's not going to let that go anywhere. But Walt puts on a coat, and he stuffs money in his coat, and he grabs his Heisenberg hat. His hat's just right there, and he puts it on. It's really iconic scene, and that hat has become really iconic too. And he puts it on. It was a really nice shot scene. And he's about to leave, and there's this fence, and he's about to open the fence and go to this town. But obviously if he does that, it's over. And he says, no, tomorrow, and he just turns back. So now we go back to Jesse, and again, like I said, this episode just flip-flops to every place. But Jesse's trying to escape the little prison he's in, underground prison. But then Todd just shows up right away, and he puts his cuffbacks on because he Locke picked them off, so he put them back on real quick. And Todd just gives him ice cream because he's like, oh, congratulations on cooking 96% purity meth. And it's weird because he says 96% pure, but he told Lydia it was 92%. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's a trigger. I don't know. But he gives him ice cream out for no reason, just like, oh, good job, you're a good prisoner. Here you go, ice cream. Kind of weird. But right when he leaves, he says, Todd, can you leave the tarp off? I want to watch the stars tonight. And he's like, yeah, whatever. So he leaves, Todd leaves, and he starts picking the locks again, Jesse. So he picks the locks, he stacks every item that's in his little prison, his bed, sheets, a bucket, and he jumps, and he grabs the top of the cage. So he's like monkey barring the cage, and he unlocks the lock, because it's just like a sliding lock, and he jumps out and just runs. But there's a camera in the corner that sees him, and Jack's men show up. And he just yells, he's swearing while he's doing, kill me now because I'm not cooking for you again. So at this point, I would be crazy scared. Like, they found you trying to escape, and I would think they'd kill him right there. But no, they still need him to cook. So Todd shows up to Brock's house, and Andrea opens the door. She steps outside because Todd says, oh, Jesse's in the car over there if you want to see him. She steps outside, and Todd just shoots and kills her right there, headshot right there. Really sad because Jesse is just bawling his eyes out, screaming. And I can feel the pain with Jesse, and they even say, they're still the kid, so be careful. And if anyone has been affected and lost enough, it's been Jesse. Like, he's basically lost everything. And even though, Walt's lost everything too, but I don't know, it's not the same. I feel like Jesse has lost the most. And I feel like Jesse's kind of like the most innocent too, in a way, but whatever. So it's the next day, and Walt goes up to this gate again, and a car rolls up, and it's been a month. So it's this month drop that the disappear guy has been talking about. And Walt has his hair grown out, his beard grown out, and it's what we seen in the first episode back, that little clip. That's what he looks like right now. So Skylar is still with the kids, he says, and the court date is still undecided. He's giving Walt all the news, and he gave him a bunch of newspaper too. And we see that now that Walt's health is really deteriorating. His eyesight is gotten much, much worse because he actually had to bring him different pairs of glasses now because he needs like a stronger intensity of the glasses because he just can't see. So that's a kind of like sad to see. So, and he says the house is up for auction. It's fenced off because a bunch of kids were breaking in and everything. And Walt even made this disappear guy bring him his like chemo. So he puts the needle into him and the IV bags there, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave now. And Walt's like, no, stay for another 2 hours. I'll pay you 10 grand. And it's kind of sad to see how lonely he is there because he has no one. He's just basically sitting in a log cabin for months, and it would really get to me, and I just can't imagine Walt. So he's just like saying, stay. So they play cards, and he's like, one of these days you're gonna drive up here, and I'm gonna be dead. He's like, if I ask you to give the money to my family, this barrel, will you do it? And the disappear guy says, if I said yes, would you believe me? And that's a great point. Go to another little scene where Walt's like laying down in his bed. This is after the disappear guy leaves, and his ring falls off his finger. And that's just a sign that he's getting really thin. So really his health is really deteriorating now. He doesn't have much longer to live. So if he's going to make a move, he's going to do it now. So Walt all of a sudden grabs a box and he just starts stuffing money into it, and he like tapes it all up and everything, and it looks like he's going to ship it out. And he goes and passes the gate to the town. Next we see a scene with Flynn or Walt Jr. or whatever, and he's in school, and he says, oh, there's a phone call for you at the office. So Walt Jr. goes to the phone, and he puts it up to his head, and it's like, oh, it's your Aunt Marie, like, talking, and then it's just some lady at a bar, and she hands the phone to Walt. So Walt actually went into the little town, paid someone to call the school and say it's Aunt Marie, and then he went on. So he basically explains to Flynn that, I have a package I'm going to send you. I'm going to send it to your friend's house. It has $100,000 in it, and I want to give it to you, and I wanted to give you so much more, but this is all I can do. And then Walt Jr. just goes berserk, yells at Walt, and he's like, you killed Uncle Hank. I don't want anything from you. He's like, why are you still alive? Just die. And then he just hangs up. So Walt is obviously devastated at this point. Everything he's worked for is to supply his kids with money, and he can't even do that now. So, like, what left does he have? What does he have left? So he just calls the DA office and says, can I talk to the person in charge of the Walter White case? And he says, hi, I'm Walter White. And he just drops the phone, and it just hangs there. So obviously they can track it and find him. So at this point, Walt just sits down at the bar, and he sees the Gray Matter Company on the TV, which is very interesting. And it's his, former friends talking there, and they're actually talking about Walter White and how he contributed to the actual business. And they're saying, no, you know what, Walter didn't even do anything. All he did was make the name, which is false. So that probably upsetted Walter even more than he already was. But on top of that, they say that, well, the blue meth that he's famous for, like he's known for, is still in circulation. And that really sparks Walter's mind and says, wait, who's doing this still? So obviously he's going to want to see what happened there. So this is where it turns. But before I say what happens, they even say on the TV there with Walt's former friends, they say, the kind, sweet, brilliant man we once knew was gone. And, that really says what this show's about. It's about a nice, sweet, brilliant man that turned to the dark side, basically. And we watched him slowly get there, and this is the build-up to it. And next week is going to be the end. And I'm sure he's going to die next week. I'm almost positive about that. If Walt doesn't die, I'm going to be very, very, very surprised and angry, because I think he should die. But the police arrive all of a sudden at the bar, because obviously they tracked the phone, and Walt's gone. He disappeared. And that's how this episode ends. So Walt's obviously going to go to his house, get the machine gun and the ricin that he hid, the clip that we've seen from the previous episodes, and I think he's going to go and try to kill Jack. It's likely that he could team up with Jesse and try to kill Jack and his crew, but I don't know. Knowing the show, they do a lot of twists and turns, they do a lot of unexpected things. Maybe that won't happen. If it does, I'll be really happy, because that's going to be awesome. But there's going to be a showdown next week, and we're just going to have to accept it and say goodbye to Breaking Bad and Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. It's been a great pleasure doing these reviews, and next week's going to be the end. But if the next series goes on, which is they're going to do a spin-off called Better Call Saul, you can expect reviews about that from me too. So it's not over, guys. And I'm still reviewing Walking Dead, Arrow, all that kind of good stuff too. So, But thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.